Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash, the bonus to your elders and apostles, a great millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of Syrian truth, pushing us word to the four corners. Got this article on Reuters, and it's funny because it says what tens of thousands protest in Prague against Czech government, EU, and NATO. So you got in what in the land of the Czechs. They're more or less in a state where they're not looking. Well, you have what they're calling what do you call it, a fringe minority. But it's funny because for the what do you call it, it's like the amount of people that came out, it shows it's not really that small of a number. It's not something that light. So it says what an estimated 70,000 people protested in Prague against the Czech government on Saturday, calling on the ruling coalition to do more to control soaring energy prices and voicing opposition to the EU and NATO. So yeah, they're more or less saying that they ain't looking they're not looking favorably at how their countries having to mess with the EU and NATO, and obviously because now Russia's cut off the Nord Stream. They know, well, anyone with a fucking brain realizes that Europe's fucking in general, the energy prices are going to be looking catastrophic in a month or two. As the weather cools down, it's going to get wild, and that's just common sense to anyone looking, because most of mainland EU, especially when you get into Eastern Europe, they're reliant quite significantly upon Russia for their gas, for a significant portion of their gas, and if that goes out the window, then all the other sources, they need to supplement it. They're all gonna go up in price because it's not just Czechs that what do you call it, that don't have access to the Russian gas. Yeah, it's fucking everyone. Everyone's gonna be looking to supplement, and like even Germany, I was checking the comments and they said like the way the current government set up is like these guys kind of have to get the green light from Germany to do certain things because of how the relationship's been built, and that's the role that Germany kind of plays in the EU. Germany's the main power base financially, so a lot of places will kind of have interests intertwined, where they can't just basically do what they want, and that's obviously what has these guys getting upset. So it says organizers of the demonstration from a number of far-right and fringe political groups, including the Communist Party, which is funny because the communists are meant to be far left, so it's the way that reported on it, it makes no sense. But it said what, it's like 70,000 people, which that's a fucking colossal number of people to actually show up at a demonstration. Because even if you can't even say like all 70,000 that showed up was all the people that kind of hold this view. It's obviously going to be significantly more that didn't show up. But it shows that in a country there's hella people that have these kinds of views, and you're gonna see the sentiment build. Because why? Because especially because of NATO, because of American interests chiefly, as far as they're gonna be seeing it, they're not able to. Well, because Americans are the ones to put the sanctions down. they're just gonna be looking at like, yo, but we're getting fucking completely decimated by these energy prices. What the fucking hell have we got to do complying with those sanctions? We should really be doing our own thing. So this is what so including the Communist Party said the Central European nation should be neutral militarily and ensure direct contact with gas suppliers, including Russia. Yeah. So basically, just go and set up their own deal, because a lot of the Eastern European countries are going to be doing that. Because why? Because they're just like, there's countries where it's like 80 to 90% of the gas comes from Russia, and there's no reason, especially it's like some of the pipelines, they'll just have direct pipelines from Russia. So they'll just be like, fuck it, just pay them in rubles and do the thing, and fuck the sanctions, because otherwise, their economy is going to collapse. Their country is just going to collapse. And that's, these men are saying similar things. So it says, police estimates put the numbers of protests at around 70,000 by mid-afternoon. The aim of our demonstration is to demand change, mainly in solving the issue of energy prices, especially electricity and gas, which will destroy our economy this autumn. Event organizer Jerry Havel told idnes.cz news website. Real talk. But actually, bro, it's gonna get peak. Because as far as for like all Europe, as soon as it kicks into winter time, well, really autumn it's gonna get peak. It's gonna be inspirational, because everyone's gonna kind of be looking for alternatives, even if there's other places where supplies might be increased, because even America said they'll be doing sending barrels of, I believe, liquid natural gas, whatever it is, for like long-term kind of long-range delivery and whatnot. But that's not even going to be reasonable, because likely the price, especially considering it's going to have to be shipped from the fucking US all the way to the EU, that the price of that is going to be fucking exponential, because obviously there's going to need to be fuel to fucking send it there, which is going to be going up in general anyway. So it's anyone with a brain can see there's a huge fucking huge issue there. By reading a bit more, it says the protest at Wenceslas Square in the city centre was held a day after the government survived a no confidence vote amid opposition claims of inaction against inflation and energy prices. So yeah, they just survived the opposition vote. So they ain't even look. It's obviously they're being held in no esteem, and they survived it for now. But who fucking knows for how much longer? Because it's not even kicked in yet. This is the prelude. This is that the first section of the opera, where it's kind of it's setting up, it's building up the the tension, building up the characters. It is not yet it's not yet played out the roles just yet, and that's when that's when it's gonna be felt. It said so it says the vote showed how Europe's energy crisis is fueling political instability as soaring power prices stoke inflation already at levels unseen in 3 decades. Yeah. So the energy crisis is the whole of Europe. That's how peak it is, because everyone was in bed with that Russian gas, to the point where up until this conflict with Ukraine kicked off with Russia, they were looking to expand, to get a second pipeline in, Nord Stream 2. So it's almost like, this escalating cut off that relationship from building further with primarily Germany, and then like the rest of Europe. And now they're just fucked. Man said it levels unseen in 3 decades. Yeah, that's wild. So it's Prime Minister Petar Fiala, who leads the centre-right five-party coalition. I said a five-party coalition. Like, that shit is. I don't know about how long that's gonna last. So told CTK news service on Saturday that the protester did not have the country's best interests at heart. The protest on Wenceslas Square was called by forces that are pro-Russian, are close to extreme positions, and are against the interests of the Czech Republic, he said. Yeah, likely is. These men are obviously, they're more sympathetic to these things presently, but over time, it's that's gonna spread to everyone. Because as far as the fact that a no confidence vote is being put through already shows, it might, and even the sheer number of people that came out just shows, damn, it's like hella people are fucking upset and don't really want to be messing with this. So it's something where you're gonna see it spark up, build up further over and over. Like it's this is it's just one country, it's the Czechs, but then you're gonna have it in various other countries. I think as you get the Central and Eastern European countries, a lot of them are just gonna be fucking with Russia, the ones where they have like huge reliance on Russia, even if it's not just energy, potentially other things. They'll just be like, yo, are we really just gonna get fucked? Rather just be like, okay, have the US upset and then just keep doing what they do. So read this. Daniel 2:41, it says, whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for so much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. Yeah, so with this EU and NATO, well, with the EU, it's what the says what mixed the iron miry clay. So it'll be what partly strong. No, in its strength of iron. Let me just read the next verse. It says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Yeah, partly strong, partly broken. That's why you have really Germany being that bedrock, that strong. And then a lot of the other countries, where they're the weaker economies, they're kind of, being tied into, Germany's fate, and where they'll kind of have to, maneuver around their interests. Because why? That's a big part of how the EU kind of stays afloat. So this is what and as one it says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So yeah, they're not really gonna mix. They're not really gonna become as one people. They're still gonna have those divides, those splits, because it's just it's an alliance, it's a coalition, temporarily, and that's becoming more evident as the crisis heightens. It's gonna become clearer and clearer that it's just something temporary, something that's just being sustained for the time being, and it's gonna crumble. 2 Ezra 15:16 says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man should desire to go into a city, and should not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. Yeah. So all this, the hopes for the future, the desire for everything to just be all right. That's it's gonna be to your doom, because it's gonna hit the point where people are no longer gonna care about who these leaders are. They already did the vote of no confidence. It's just gonna get to where a lot of people are just gonna be like, yo, fuck it. And it's, you've seen with what was it, Sri Lanka, that's kind of a view for how some of these countries are gonna go, where you're just gonna have that violent overthrow. Man, they're gonna run up and dash up in, you know, the prime ministers or the presidents or the whatever's abode, you know, and grab shit up, man. He's swimming in his swimming pool, smoking his cigars, drinking his fucking 200-year-old cognac and whatnot. Cause why? They're just gonna hit that breaking point, cause shit's gonna get at peak. That, you know, this winter's looking like that's what it's gonna be. So read this, Revelation 17:16. It says, "What? And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." And that's only where it's gonna go. All these nations, all these allies with the US, they're all gonna turn and just flip and be like, yo, what we even getting from this? Like, what's going on? It says what? "For the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the words of the Most High be fulfilled." Yeah. So that it's only really for a set season that they're being they're gonna be given their kingdom over. But then what? It's afterwards they're just gonna flip. They're gonna come back to it. Just be like, what the hell are we doing here? What the fuck's this shit? And then they're just gonna, you know, drop the fire, shoot the missiles on America, and that's, you can see that spirit building. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yeah, Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.